Sir Frank Swettenham was a colonial administrator, but also one of the most evocative stylists to write of Malaya. His pen sketched both the land and its people with a painter's eye, though always from the vantage point of empire. The Real Malay, his 1899 collection of stories, includes a vivid character study called A Silhouette. It is about a famous Malay warrior, Syed Mashhor. But this is no tale of battles or politics, but a finely drawn encounter with a man whose presence loomed large in the Malay Peninsula. I will now read you the piece in Swettenham's own words. Imagine as you listen, a lofty room in the tropics, deep in shadows, the air heavy with humid heat, and before you stands the old warrior, tall, proud, and commanding your undivided attention. Amongst the Malays of the peninsula, the most picturesque figure is that of the famous Syed. He has come to see me, and as he stands in the semi-darkness of this lofty room, with its dead white walls and the subdued light of a shaded lamp centered on him, I am almost led to question his reality. The stillness is so absolute, the shadows so deep yet vague, while the outlines of his face and form are so strong, the colours so rich and harmonious, that the man might be imagination materialized, the embodiment of an Eastern dream. That word explains the seeming unreality. Figure and surroundings of the East. Eastern, the famous side, is the very type of a strange people, the picture exactly in harmony with its frame. Outside, an all but full moon rides high in a cloud-veiled sky. The clouds would be white, only that there is a haze which tinges all the light with blue. The country is very broken. Hill and vale, stretches of jungle and undulating slopes of grass, with clumps of trees and isolated forest giants dotted about at uncertain levels. In a long valley is a lake of shining water, but it is all vague, soft and mysterious. The woods and grass are grey with an underlying green, and the atmosphere is grey as well as blue. The water is a still and level surface of dark glass. Through the wide open doorways come visions of the moonlit country, and these white-framed pictures contrast strangely with the warm glow of the room and the fascinating figure of the famous Syed. He is a man of 62, tall and straight, with a face so striking that it would attract attention anywhere. His forehead is wide and high, his dark eyes rather far apart, with drooping lids that it seems almost an effort to raise. His nose is aquiline and rather long, and his mouth is hidden by a long and heavy grey moustache. The jaw is massive and the chin square. The eyebrows black, curved and distinctly marked, while the hair is short and grey. He has a clear yellow complexion, and in spite of his age, there is hardly a line on his face. The drooping eyelids and hooked nose, the dark eyebrows, grey, almost white moustache, with ends curved upwards, and the massive jaw and chin are very remarkable. The elaborately quiet manner of the man, the studied slowness of his ordinary movements, and his voice, so soft and low it is an effort to catch his words, accentuate the strong features of his face and fascinate the spectator, as certain snakes are said to fascinate their victims. Only, with the famous Syed, the eyes attract attention by the little there is to see of them. His dress is scarcely less striking. A kerchief of some thin black material, tied into a fantastic yet becoming headdress. The cloth is folded closely round the brow and over the scalp, but two of the corners, overlapping, stand up in a point, about 10 inches high, on the left side of his head, and balance the thick fold of the kerchief, which rests on the right ear. On the glossy side of this jet-black head covering is painted in gold leaf a deep border of scroll work, and dotted about within the border are conventional flowers, also in gold. Over a shirt of soft rich yellow satin, the Syed wears a jacket of Malay red silk, dull of surface, but of strange rich colour, into which is woven a design which resembles small chariot wheels in golden thread. The jacket has an upright collar of the same material, is fastened by one gold button at the throat, and discloses a narrow gleam of the satin undershirt. The sleeves are tight at the wrist, slashed, and fastened by a long row of gold buttons. The costume is completed by trousers of dead black silk, the lower 18 inches interwoven with a quaint design in silver thread. The trousers are made almost tight around the ankles, while a gorgeous silk sarong hangs in graceful folds from the waist to the knees. The sarong itself is a thing of beauty, the finest work of the famed Terengganu looms. The prevailing colours are soft tones of cunningly blended heliotrope and green, lined by faint gleams of gold thread. But a wide length of Malay red, ablaze with gold, crosses the darker folds in flashes of splendour. He is a man of war, this Syed, and was one of the most famous of the Malay fighting chiefs in the days that are no more. The stories of his prowess, of his cunning, of his wickedness are many and strange and ghastly. He has enemies, and it is charitable to suppose that he has been maligned. There is no need to refer to such tales here. He has been a soldier of fortune, and he would be so again. He does not pretend to many virtues, or any accomplishments outside his profession as a captain of men. When I see him, we talk of war, as it is understood in Malaya, and on that subject he can speak with experience. This evening is no exception to the rule, and he has related many curious experiences. "It is very annoying," he remarks at last. "You know what Malays are, and as I walk in the streets, men nudge each other and say, 'That is the famous Syed,' and they huddle together like cowering curs, which always fall over each other in their anxiety to reach a safe place. Of course, there's nothing to do now, and while the white men, the officers of government, talk nicely to me, they are always suggesting that I should go away to some other country. I am old, and I have no desire to go elsewhere, and when the government wanted help, they found me useful. You know that, for we are old friends, and we have done the government work together." I reminded him that once, before those ancient days, he had, by his own statement to me, only waited for a signal to fall upon a considerable party of Europeans, among whom my death was, perhaps, the one most keenly desired. The Syed will not discuss such an unprofitable subject. He dismisses it with a reproachful glance, and a little deprecatory movement of his hand, and the remark, "But the signal was never given." It was unkind to recall this incident, and possibly a trifle malicious, so I asked, "Is there some title you would like?" "Ah, yes," he answers, "there is. But then I must not forget my old friends in arms, the men who fought with me so long ago. I would not have anything which rightly belongs to one of them." The Syed recently passed the fasting month with the Sultan of Perak, who invited my attention to the fact that his brother, the Syed, had become very devout and never missed a prayer. This craving for holy things and the better life is a very encouraging sign, and the famous Syed is perhaps not the first sinner who has turned to religion for excitement when he found the world slipping away from him. But in his case, at any rate, the old Adam is hardly scotched, for the conversation having turned to his recent visit, he says, "I asked the Sultan of Perak whether he was friend or foe to the state of Baitan, because I thought he could not care for the Raja of that place, and I offered to go and take it for him, if he wanted it." "How do you mean to do that?" I asked. "Oh," he says, "I should go there with 4 or 5 people and make friends with the Baitan folk, fight cocks, and gamble with them and play at anything they like, and all the time my people would be coming in by 2s and 3s and 4s and 5s and working towards the Raja's place where I should be. And when it was time—" Then for an instant his drooping eyelids rise a fraction of an inch. He glances at me, and they fall again. "Mengamuk?" I suggest. He does not answer, but a very slow smile wanders round the corners of his mouth, and as his face turns towards the ghostly pictures seen through the open doorways, it seems to be instinct with the vision of that sudden and furious night attack in far Baitan. "It would not be difficult," I say, "but Lenggang," naming another state, "would be better worth having." "Ah," he answers, "I could not do that. It is a very populous country, but with quite a few men I could take Baitan, and there would be some loot. You see, I must think of that. I am a poor man, and if I could get some loot, I should like to go to Mecca." "You have been writing what I have taught," says the Syed. "May I ask what you have written about?" "I've been trying to make a silhouette of you." "What is a silhouette?" Roughly speaking, it's a profile portrait in black on a white background." "But where have you done this?" "Here," I say, showing him the paper on which I am writing. "And you see, I have only used black and white." "Ah," he says, I understand it. It is the black and white of me. Do not make it too black. A silhouette can only be true in outline. Very well, I reply. I will put in the colours. And thus ends Swettenham's story. An outline, rich in suggestion, but incomplete, waiting for the colours only the subject himself could add. Swettenham's story captures not just a likeness, but the unspoken tensions of the time between colonial officer and Malay chief, between past deeds and present respectability, between the image and the truth behind it. Perhaps that is why a silhouette still fascinates me, because even now we are left looking at the outline of the famous Syed, but still wondering about the colours that need to be put in. Thank you, dear listener, for joining me in this reading of Swettenham's A Silhouette. If you enjoyed this little tale in monochrome, do support my channel by liking this podcast and subscribing to my channel. Until we meet again in another video or podcast, cheerio!